Hey, you guys want to see something cool? Check this out. Look, it's garbage. So the car tried to kill me, more or less. I was driving down the highway and coming up to a stoplight, and I pushed on the brake pedal and just went straight to the floor and did absolutely nothing to slow down the car. I pumped it a few times and it came back up and I got the car stopped, but yeah, less than an ideal situation. I think the culprit is the brake master cylinder, since a couple of my friends mentioned they'd had similar experiences in much older vehicles. Seriously, how does a brake master go bad at 160,000 miles? I'm assuming bad fluid, something in the fluid, lots of water got in the fluid maybe. This looks like it has a new slave cylinder, so maybe all the hydraulics just went bad because of something in the fluid. Because the fluid that's in here looks... Also, I hate this. Why is it this? Why doesn't it just twist off? I don't even know if my camera was pointing at the right thing because I had the screen flipped around the wrong way, but the fluid is fairly clean, and also I can't siphon it out because there's a stupid strainer in here, so we're about to get brake fluid everywhere, boys. So there is our brake master cylinder back there. The manual, the shop manual, I know that's not quite the right term, but I can't think of what the term is, says I need to remove all this plastic and both wiper arms and the motor and the linkage in order to get that master cylinder out. I think that's nonsense. I think I can just pull out the intake, which, you know, you'd have to do either way, and I think I can just get it out. I mean, it's pretty simple. You get the hoses off, you get the reservoir off, you mop up the 8 gallons of brake fluid that come out, and then there's a few flange bolts and it just pulls out of the brake booster. Pretty straightforward. I've never done a master cylinder before, so this will be a first for me, but we'll see how this goes. But this isn't even the only thing that we're doing today. We're just starting at the top and moving down, because we're also going to be doing coils and plugs. I don't know, I have like a pile of parts here. I think we've got coils and plugs, the brake master cylinder, and sway bar end links. And that should take care of most of the issues with this car. I need to get this thing ready for my wife to take it on a road trip here. We're also going to try adjusting the absolutely horrid clutch pedal in this car. It engages right off the floor. I'm hoping that it's just not adjusted right, because when I was looking in the shop manual, that thing is adjustable in more ways from, wow, I can't talk, but it's adjustable like 13 ways from Sunday. Unfortunately, in order to do so, I'm gonna have to fold myself up like laundry down in the, what is that called? Footwell. I need to just use my words today. The entire English language, I can't even say English language. Every word, brain no work, brain have the dumb today. Let's do critical brake system things while I'm clearly having a freaking stroke. So yeah, let's make that go away. Okay, it's gone. Now here's the part of this that's going to give me heart palpitations. So I've got our little master cylinder reservoir unbolted here, but now it's still floating. And here's the thing. I'm not sure how best to do this. I've got some rags under here to try and catch a majority of the huge mess I'm about to make, but this hose here goes to the clutch master cylinder, and there's 2 that go to the brake master cylinder. So I have to, oh, don't worry about why that's leaking. I already loosened that kind of on accident. But I have to somehow disconnect this and wiggle this out. And what's even more annoying is that in order to bench bleed this, the reservoir has to be attached. And I can't conceive of how I'm going to do any of that. Also, that appears to be leaking, so that's cool. That right there is leaking, as is this, but that's because I loosened that. I see no good way to do this. I guess we'll just take this off, see if we can plug it. The new master cylinder's over here. That's here, and it came with all these nifty little plastic plugs, and I have no idea what the hell their purpose is. But I'm hoping that I can shove one of them in the bottom of the reservoir to stop it from leaking. Maybe. I don't know. It's a nice thought. Wow, that is really leaking now, isn't it? Let me cinch that back down real quick. I just wanted to make sure I actually had the capacity to break this loose. I didn't intend on it to immediately start blowing its load all over my engine bay. There we go. Also, don't even try doing this without the correct wrench. This is just a cheap, I think I got this from AutoZone, but that's that style. I forget what it's called. Flare nut wrench, I think. Don't even attempt this with a regular wrench unless you want to have a very, very bad day, potentially. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but I kind of shoved a glass cup in there to try and catch the drippings. Oh, nailed it. I'm pretty impressed with myself for that. All right, that means the rest of this is gonna be an absolute disaster. There we go. All right, make sure to get as much of this on your paint as physically possible. That'll get it really nice and clean. I guess at this point, I just start undoing every flare nut that I see until parts start falling off the car. Oh, it's a 10. I'm just stupid. It's looking an awful like at this point, all that needs to happen is these two 12mm nuts come out, and then I think we're home free. Shocking if true. Okay, I'm gonna do the thing everyone always tells me to do, and I'm actually gonna take my watch off for this. What? It's like the world's most effed off split lock washer ever. I feel like this job's been done before. I wonder if this is an aftermarket master cylinder. Oh, I see. It's supposed to be captive. Ah! There we go. Let's see if I can manage this without botching this up too bad. I think I'm satisfied. Reservoir. Oh my gosh. Fill her with some .3 and we're off to the races. I can get my catch thing out of here. A classic, while I'm in here, I'm gonna go ahead and clean out the throttle body because it is looking not great. Unfortunately, I don't have carb cleaner or anything, so I'm just using a mass airflow sensor cleaner, which I suppose will get the job done. Ew. Yeah, all that stuff's coming out of there. In cars with electronic throttles like this, I've had just weird idle, lumpy idle issues and whatnot from dirty throttle bodies, so I figured that would be a worthwhile thing to look into. So at this point, I think we're good to go ahead and slap the intake back in. Yeah, the master cylinder is good to go. So now we can actually breed the brakes? No, please don't do that. We can bleed the brakes on this and the clutch line, and it'll be good to go, but I'm gonna need help for that, so we're just gonna shelve that for now and put all this junk back together. We've got a much cleaner throttle body now, so we'll slap that back on, and let's rip that guy off there. Yep, just like that. And now we can get the intake back in and move on to the next part of the tune-up, which is these coils look a bit weird. These definitely seem like they're from a junkyard, and this one's a different color entirely, so that makes me uncomfortable. Let's get rid of them, and that's gonna be real easy thanks to one of you guys. Thank you very much, my viewer Dave, for sending me 4 NGK coils and a full set of NGK Blazer Iridium spark plugs. I'm actually kind of excited. This engine runs super smooth already, and these parts will make sure that it does that for a long time. Is this annoying, these rattling around right next to the microphone? Just realized that's probably not the smartest idea, but I am kind of curious what these look like in comparison to what's already in there. Yep, that is definitely a coil. It says NGK on the top. Also a little bit of a different color plastic on that, but sweet. So let's get these thrown in the car and party real hard. Wow. Look at all this. It was sitting on top of the valve cover. Looks like someone smashed one of these plugs at some point. Maybe this one? Looks like there's some tape wrapped around it like it's been replaced. That is interesting. Also, somewhat unfortunate. It does look like we're gonna need a new valve cover. Something just fell out of the plug. I think we're gonna need new valve cover gaskets, so I might put this part of the project on hold for the moment while I go get one, because it's leaking into the plug holes. That's a problem, and I don't want to half-ass this. So I don't know, I guess we'll just what? Okay, well, finger tight fasteners, why not? Oh my gosh. None of these are any kind of tight. Someone's been in here. Lucky for me, O'Reilly's had a valve cover gasket in stock. It's blue! Yay! Fel Pro. It's rubber and blue and... Okay, let's get the valve cover off. Looks pretty simple. Okay, so I kind of hate it. There's just, they did a General Motors here. There's just these really stiff wiring harness on either side, and this like extremely large like plastic wiring harness guide that wraps all the way down the side of the block here, and this big old alternator wire, which I really don't want to unbolt all of that from the alternator itself. Just try and slide it down, but all that's kind of sandwiching the valve cover. Please come off. I beg of you. There's a little bit of a gap there. There we go. Yeah, just a lever. Something place to stand. Out you come. I said, out. Yeah, see, it's caught on this stupid wiring harness. Oh, that's disgusting. Whatever. Why were those bolts so loose when this gasket clearly has not been done recently? That's plastic. Eh. Junk. How's our mating surface? Fairly clean. Guess I'll give it a little bit of a scrub down. Timing chain. Very cromulent. Inside of the engine in general, quite tidy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It looks like engine in here. Okie dokie. Let's see if we can get this thing all back in here. Go. Go. There we go. Are we in? Sub. And I dropped my 10. So, a quick perusal of the shop manual has revealed two things. First off, don't assume things because something about asses. There is supposed to be a bit of sealant here, which means the cover gets to come off again. And also there is no order for tightening these down, just that these go to 10 foot-pounds and these go to 8 foot-pounds. Or do I have that backward? Yes, 10 foot-pounds, 8 foot-pounds. I'm not even sure my torque wrench will reliably go that low, but let's find out. Now I gotta find some right stuff so I can seal that, and I have to take this whole stupid cover off again. I think I've got these. Oh, yep, there it is. God, that is the weakest click. And, okay, there it is. All right, so now 8. There it is. Yeah, so if the handle, there's just this little bit of slop in the handle, and if it's up like this, it doesn't click. Then I bring it down, and it clicks. So I have to be super vigilant of that, and I hate it. You know, these things calibrate very, very well sometimes, but this one just does not quite work right. And for those of you saying, Jake, you should have cleaned the valve cover, I don't have a parts cleaner. Cry harder. It's not getting cleaned. More poor maintenance is making itself readily apparent with this car. First off, a simply comical amount of dielectric grease, if I could actually hold this in the frame. There it is. But also, that's a copper plug right there, or at least I think it's copper. I don't know, whatever it is, it's definitely not iridium like this says. For context, that's what an iridium plug looks like. Very, small electrode. Hang on, let me hold these next to each other. Yeah, you see the difference? So, I don't know, that could have something to do with the way the car was running. These are definitely more expensive, but I mean, it's what the car wants to run right. Cars are a lot more expensive than some plugs. So, like, why cheap out? I don't get it. It's literally the thing that makes your internal combustion engine do the combusting part. Anchors away. There was a ton of oil in this one. That gasket was shot. So this thing's gonna, all that oil kind of fell into the cylinder, so I bet this thing's going to be one smoky boy when I fire it up. I kind of love the torque spec for spark plugs with the little crush washer thing. It's literally just finger tight and then an additional half a turn or so, which is super satisfying because you kind of feel it crushing down the whatchamacallit, the crush washer. That's the word. Oh, that one wasn't quite finger tight. There we go. And for those of you wondering about my back and how it's doing, the answer is not amazing. This is my second day of working on this job. I did the brake booster part last night. Now I'm doing this part, and today sucked. My back was very not happy about this leaning over. Let's see, these go that way, I believe. So that's good. Oh, look at those shiny new parts. You love to see it. Ignore the fact that this wiring harness is kind of broken and none of these plugs actually like lock fully into place. They're just kind of held here by friction. And I suppose the engine cover kind of pushes down on them a little bit. Let's see, did I get everything? I think everything's tightened down, which means we are done under here. Yay! Mostly without incident, the engine bay is back together. And I figured out the routing of this hose, which I didn't know before. So now the engine bay actually looks just a bit better and a little cleaner since I wiped off, a little bit of the head. I'm not a complete monster. I guess let's go see how this thing starts. That was significantly less cranking than it usually takes to start this thing. Are we smoking? No smoke. Okay, must have been fairly minimal oil in there. It's gotta be one of the smoothest 4-cylinders I've ever owned. Oh, it revs a lot better now. Now I'm kind of excited to get this thing out on the road, but there's much more to be done. Wheel, well, what have we got here? Some really nasty sway bar end links is what we've got here. So I need to get these off so I can put on my nice shiny ones that are in that box over there. And to do this, we have a 17mm wrench and a 6mm hex. I think you see how this works. Unfortunately, my big head blocks the view, so we're just gonna do this off camera. Bada bing, bada boom, we have some end links. And as you can see, these are in a pretty sorry state even. Look at that. All kinds of wiggly. And has just a bit of play. So here's our new ones. Resplendent in all their glory. Lock nuts intact, ready to go on the car. So it's just as simple as putting it on the car. And so I shall do. Nothing like shiny new parts. That was kind of annoying to get in because there really isn't enough angle to get more than like 2 clicks in on a ratchet in there. So that should fix a lot of my clunking issues with the suspension in the front here at least. So now all that's left is bleeding the brakes, and then we can go take this thing for a test drive, which will be nice. Hopefully it's drama free. I suspect it will be, but I've been wrong before. It's been a few days and look at the mess we have going on here. I've been hard at work on this and I didn't film, well, really any of it. I replaced both
of the lower ball joints here. As you can see, one very nice thing is that the whole ball joint assembly unbolts from the lower control arm. One not nice thing is there's absolutely no room between the CV boot and that top nut, so it kind of makes the logistics a lot of fun. The other ball joints had castle nuts with pins through them, and someone went absolutely bonkers when they pulled the cotter pin through and just buried it in the castle nut, so I had to drill them out. So that was a huge ordeal, big pain. And then over here on the other side, oh, I put this wheel on so I don't think we can see it anymore, but you can see here I had to replace this caliper because, where is it? Yeah, the bleeder screw, when I tried to loosen it, it just snapped right off, twisted off with very little effort. It might have already been broken, in fact. And I tried easy outs, I tried left-handed drill bits. There's just really no chance I was going to get that out without damaging the sealing surface. So I went to my favorite local auto recycler, Auto Recyclers of Kansas, ARK. They don't sponsor the channel, but I just like what they do because I call them, I say what I need, they tell me if they have it, and when I can come pick it up. Is that a crack or is that just dirt? Oh, good, that's just dirt. All right, if the wheel was cracked, I was going to light everything on fire. And they got me a new caliper, well, a used caliper for $25. Got it thrown in, and I've been bleeding the brakes again with a vacuum bleeder that I bought the other day. So I guess I'll bleed this one and put the wheel back on. And then we are going to smoke test the intake. This thing seems like it has a vacuum leak. I know I'm kind of adding issues on here, but this video is taking so long to film that I just keep discovering more and more wrong with this car, and I'm really in a hurry to get this thing sold because I badly need the money. So I'm going to vacuum test the intake, or the other thing, the opposite of vacuum. I'm going to pressure test the intake, see if I can find the vacuum leak. I've got a new O2 sensor on the way, but that's not going to be in this video. I might not even film that. New O2 sensor on the way to clear the P0420. Hopefully I can find whatever leak is causing my evap code, because I think in one of the earlier episodes we did test that and verify that wasn't the problem, and then we replaced the PCV system, and that still has not fixed my evap code, and has really garbage, like low throttle drivability. The transients from on to off throttle are just absolutely trash. So I feel like we probably have some sort of leak after the MAF. So I think the way to do this is going to be to take this off. I'm going to put a plastic bag in here and put this back on, so that seals the whole system from the airbox. And then I guess I'll just take off one of these vacuum lines and I'll put my smoke in through there. But first, let's get this wrapped up. Well, that was awesome. The vacuum brake bleeder pulled a ton of air out of the line, and now my pedal feels normal. I was really confused because we bled it earlier with my buddy Jay's help doing the pedal method, and the pedals still feel weird, even though we thought we got all the air out of the lines. But that vacuum bleeder over there, this is the Harbor Freight one, I ended up pulling a significant amount through. You can see it looks a little bit froggy there at the bottom, but that thing's absolutely amazing. Just don't lose the special little nozzles that actually let it create a vacuum seal. So that is great. I think the brakes are totally solid on this car now. I forgot to mention with the ball joints, I actually bent a wrench. I wonder, I kind of bent it back into shape. Was it this one? No. I don't know where it went, but I bent a wrench trying to get the ball joint nut off of there. And then I also had to have my buddy Blake come over and help push down, because the control arms are preloaded with the bushings, and you got to push it down to get the ball joint back in. It takes like 4 people. It was a huge pain. That turned into like a 6-hour nightmare last night. And yeah, it was a real fun time. So I'm going to get this set up for my smoke machine. Nice thing, battery's right next door to the intake, so it's all in one place. What I'm not looking forward to is the fact that the whole intake is buried back there. So if it's leaking from the intake on the back of the engine, I'm just gonna light it all on fire. Okay, we got the old aw tool hanging here. I've got this bag shoved in between the intake and the airbox, so that should more or less be an airtight seal. I'm gonna pump my smoke into this vacuum line that goes right into the intake manifold. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna leave this out for a second just to make sure that it's actually making smoke before I stick it in there. I did put smoke material, smoke fluid. What the heck is this? Baby oil. Give me the goods. All right. Oh, already. These smoke machines are just the best diagnostic tool. If you want to buy one, you can go through my Amazon shop, link in the description. I get a commission and you don't pay any extra. Pretty neat system. This guy, look at that super Toyota specific looking hose that I probably can't get anywhere else that also seems really dry rotted. So let's plug you back in. Oh yeah. Crying out loud. And we're back. Got some hose. Of course, no one could even find the part for the SCION specific hose, but got some universal hose that fits really well. Went ahead and hose clamped it to make sure. The thing with hose clamps is you got to be careful with how much you torque them down because they can crush plastic fittings. This is an aluminum fitting. I don't care so much. That's a plastic fitting down in there, so I had to be very careful how much I torqued it. But we have no smoke now. I already unhooked it and put the vacuum hoses back, and also no smoke out of the evap system. I don't get what this hose is, because this is the PCV, because there's actually vacuum there. This is just open to atmosphere. Why? So it'd be pulling vacuum there, and then I guess this is just fresh air into the crankcase, because it's filtered, because it's past the filter, but it's before the throttle body, so it's not vacuum. I don't get it. Also, there's this weird plastic fitting on it that I don't quite understand. Anywho, grand mysteries of the universe, I guess. My BMW has something similar. There's what's called the F connector, which is after the MAF, but before the, come on, there we go. It's after the MAF, but before the throttle body, and it's a source of vacuum leaks because it's after the MAF. But it's not actually vacuum. It's just a filtered fresh air reference for, oh, I don't remember, a couple of things. I guess it's probably just fairly common on newer cars. Let's get the bag out of here, get this thing put away. Love this thing. And then we can start this up and go for a drive and see how it is. New ball joints, fixed brakes, new master cylinder, plugs, wire, coils, vacuum hoses. Should be like a new car. So with vacuum leaks, they tend to have the most effect at idle and low throttles, because that's when the amount of air getting sucked in is the largest proportion to the total mass of air going into the car. So all that to say that startup should be a lot easier now. Yeah, this seemed pretty good. I haven't cleared the check engine light. It's kind of been clearing itself and then coming back, so I think it'll probably clear itself and not come back. Now that that's hopefully fixed. Brake pedal feels pretty all right. So let's go for a drive. There's still some suspension noise, but it's not the ball joints, so I don't care. It's probably just some bushing, but as long as the ball joints aren't going to come apart on the highway. Okay, there's now also some weird screeching. As long as the ball joints aren't going to come apart on the highway and be a safety concern, then whatever, it's fine. The on and off throttle transients are way, way better now. That problem is completely gone, so that's great. I think there's something rubbing in the front right brake though. I'm getting an interesting noise out of it, so I'm gonna have to check into that. But other than that, this all seems good. So I am pretty happy. Now we just got to get the paint fixed and swap out the windshield, and this thing will be ready to sell. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Thanks for watching.